This is Team Chaos. I'm Captain Chaos, and I'm really pleased to have Stan Watkins here with me today to share his background and something that's going on in the community of pattern flyers. Stan's a member of Team Chaos, as a devoted pilot to practicing frequently every week precision maneuvers. Last year, Stan was featured in the NSRCA K-Factor publication as Pilot of the Month, covered his background. So Stan, I'd just like you to briefly go through that and tell us about your background and what led you into precision aerobatics, namely pattern competition.
Thanks, Ron. Sure. I grew up in a family that had airplanes, and so I got involved with aviation at a pretty young age. I can, smell the McGuire's plexiglass cleaner even now in my nose. I was later in the military, in the Air Cavalry Scout Platoon, flying OH-6s, and then fly full-size airplanes. I've owned a number. I've flown bush planes, Amphib Beaver up in Alaska, from King Salmon out onto the rivers and lakes around that area in Bristol Bay, and so forth. I got into small airplanes, what I call toy airplanes, when I was getting ready to retire from a career as a CPA and partner at Deloitte, and started out like a lot of guys nowadays with a foam apprentice airplane that had gyros in it to make it uncrashable, or at least I thought it was going to be uncrashable. Of course, like everybody else, I got to buy a lot of repair parts starting out, but finally got so I could get around with that airplane pretty well, stepped up to a T-28 and a whole bunch of others, ending up wanting to do aerobatics, which I always admired from a young age, but never had the ability or the authorization to try in full-sized airplanes, and afraid what it would do to the passengers if I did it. So this was a way to finally be able to fly some of the aerobatic maneuvers I'd always admired.
All right, tell us something about the pattern airplane that you're flying today.
Sure. This is a Top RC Kalis. It's a 2-meter plane, which means that between the wingspan and the fuselage length, it can fit in a box that's 2 meters by 2 meters. It's an electric airplane. I don't own anything other than electric airplanes. It generates quite a bit of power. It's turning a 21-inch prop, and it's set up to do precision aerobatics, which is basically they're very, very easy airplanes to fly. They go exactly where you point them, and they keep going exactly where you point it until you change where you point it.
All right, well, when you're flying a sequence of precision maneuvers, Dan, what do you find to be the most challenging thing about doing that?
That's a funny question coming from my coach. You know very well the hardest thing I have is flying a straight and level flight in a precision manner. One of the things about precision aerobatics, the aerobatics part is easy. It's the precision that's the challenge.
Right, and so many sport flyers feel that if you told them fly a straight line, they think that's really pretty simple until you say it must be parallel to the runway, a specific altitude of comfort, a certain distance out, and you don't want to deviate that heading. You want to shoot for it every time, back and forth, parallel to the runway. Then it becomes a very difficult maneuver, but it's the foundation, right, for precision.
And every little adjustment you make to maintain that becomes obvious to a judge costs you points.
Yeah. What do you enjoy most about going to a pattern contest, Stan? When you've got 2 days there, you spent your time getting ready and practicing, and now what are you looking forward to the most?
I look forward to the practice finally paying off. It gives me a reason to continue to practice the intense way that I do, and as you know, I'm out at the flying field at least 3 or 4 days a week, and sometimes a lot more than that. And I'm flying 6 to 10 flights a day, just practicing and practicing and practicing. And it gives me a reason to keep up that practice schedule. I think without a contest, it'd be hard to keep doing that. The second thing is you get to get some feedback on whether or not you're making progress against your goal of doing it right. And then the third thing is just, and this is probably not the third thing, this is probably the top of the list, is the camaraderie with the other pattern pilots. It's just a really nice group of people to associate with.
Right. Well, it's really a time to show people, I call it showtime. You practice, you prepare, you're taking the time, the expense to come to the contest, and now it's kind of like you've done your homework, and here is the test. And if you're beginning, it's not like you have to be nervous about how high you are or competitive with everyone else, because if you're beginning, you just compete against yourself. Like you say, what's the improvement? So you compete against yourself. As long as you're improving, and you can see that at the contest, one day you'll be in the winner's circle.
Yeah, when we were in grade school and high school, we all had citizenship grades where you start out with a perfect score, and the more you screw up, the lower your grade gets, and that's kind of the way pattern is. So I'm trying to screw up in the minimum number of times so I can maintain that perfect score if possible.
Right. Stan, there's a new class that the National Society of Radio Control Aerobatics, that's the NSRCA, is offering. It's called the Club Class. And I want you to tell our visitors something about that, because it's a perfect entry point for pilots interested in a little higher level of precision flying to get into. So your thoughts on the Club Class?
I think the club class is a great idea, and I wish that it had existed last year or the year before when I first started getting into pattern. Club class is one, it's a fly what you've got type class. So you don't need to have a 2-meter pattern plane or anything. You just, whatever you're flying now generally will qualify as a legal club class plane as long as it doesn't have an active gyro in it. Secondly, it's a set of maneuvers that give you something to shoot for, but that most sport pilots that have been doing it for a little while and can get up comfortably and get back down and not crash on every flight or worry about crashing on every flight can easily get through. And it gives you some parameters to start working towards, to start putting a little precision into your flying and learn how to use the rudder and learn how to do a loop correctly and learn how to fly a straight flight out and a straight flight back without a lot of deviation. So it's a nice way to get your toe into the pattern water without it being an overwhelming chore, and it's limited to members of the club that's hosting the contest. So here at EVAA there's going to be, 4 or 5 or 6 club class guys. Same thing over at AMA when we do ours at the end of April. There'll be a few, 5 or 6 club class guys, and there's going to be very generous trophies. You fly the maneuvers you can fly in the sequence. If there's a new maneuver you get out of shape and can't do, or you haven't practiced, or you don't feel comfortable doing, you skip it. And everybody's got 1 or 2 of those probably in their sequence, and so, it's not going to be a big deal competition, but it'll be a lot of fun.
That's great, Stan. Can you make a recommendation or a suggestion anyway for maybe some starter airplanes that could be flown well in class?
Well, again, it's a fly what you got type thing. But if all I had was a high wing trainer and I didn't feel like it could get through the maneuver list, I'd look at a Chaos 60 or a T28, one of the foam T28s, or something along those lines, maybe an extra or something, just one that can do most of those maneuvers and get it back on the ground safely. You don't need anything more complicated than that, because all those airplanes are capable of doing the maneuvers.
Well, thanks, Dan. I really appreciate the time you spent with us here this morning.
Sure.
I know you're busy. You want to get some practice in before the weekend, so I wish you just all the best luck possible in your flights this weekend. Looking forward to watching you fly. And so that pretty much wraps it up. This is Pattern Talk. I am Captain Chaos.